relevant, reliable, and researched. This is Experts on Call, the show focused on delivering leading-edge news and information on today's most beneficial products and services. This is Experts on Call on AM 650.
And welcome back to the program. Today we're talking about your home, and in particular, the roof over top of your home. No matter what type of home you live in, chances are it has a roof. And we're talking about protecting that investment with Sean Lang, the president of Inter-Provincial Roof Consultants. Sean, you're a registered roof observer. You told us about your years as a roofer in the industry and how you decided, well, it was time to move on to a more stimulating challenge. And in the process of forming Inter-Provincial Roof Consultants, you achieved a professional designation. You are a roof observer. What exactly is that?
A registered roof observer is an individual who has gone through the testing to prove that they know how to ethically and properly deal with an inspection situation.
Okay.
There are certain standards that we have to maintain as a registered roof observer as far as how to deal with people, whose responsibility issues are, and how to deal with issuing instructions for those responsibilities, so that you're not going up on a roof and just simply trying to enforce power and prove that you are worthy of being an inspector. You have to actually know how to deal with the issues.
Right.
So you have to prove that you have the roofing knowledge, obviously, but you also have to prove that you can hold the conversation with the professionals that are involved in a project. If it's a new construction, there's going to be architects, engineers, general contractors. So you have to be able to sit on the other side of the table with these people and actually maintain the same kind of level of conversation with them. So becoming a registered roof observer is just a way of proving that you're able to do all of that. And that you're acting on the best interests of the client that you're working for.
And you're a member of the Roof Consultants Institute. Is that the diploma granting organization that made you a roof observer in the first place?
Yeah, it's called RCI Inc.
Okay.
But it stands for Roof Consultant Institute. They're out of North Carolina, I believe. In the States, and it's quite a large organization, well respected, all about roof consulting and building consulting and stuff. So we have to go, and every year they put on courses and seminars that we have to go and actually take.
Skills upgrades.
Skills upgrades. We get points for that.
Okay.
We have to accumulate a certain number of points every year.
Most professionally designated individuals are required on an annual basis to upgrade their knowledge or skill sets, aren't they?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
So your organization is no different from most of the others.
No different. And we're actually trying, I'm on a couple of different boards at the Roofing Contractors Association as well. One is a technical committee, and another one is a committee that's put together to try and sort out some of the shortcomings in our industry. And one of the issues that was brought up recently was a continual education for journeyman roofers.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of journeyman roofers out there who got their tickets several years ago, maybe even 20 years ago or longer, and they don't get any continuing education to make sure that they're up to speed on all the new regulations or new types of roof systems and new processes and ways of doing things. So guys are learning on the roof, which is okay if your boss is progressive and is trying new systems and working with consultants and all this sort of thing. But if your boss is running a company that flies under the radar of the front line of our industry and he's not taking part in all these new advancements, then the workers aren't learning anything.
Right.
So
what happens when you or one of your teammates from Inter-Provincial Roof Consultants is in that kind of situation? You've been called in, you're contracted to observe the progress of a roof job, and you go up there and you know what's going on, and clearly some of the workers don't. And so there's someone who may or may not, leading this group, who may not have a clue. Others clearly don't. And so this is not going to end well. And you can tell that without even really digging into what they're up to, just by their knowledge level, right? So how do you diplomatically, because this is part of your training, how do you diplomatically get that boss and that crew to come around to the new 2014 way of doing things without making anybody feel bad?
Well, the first thing is, if I have a choice, and it's one of our jobs, and we've put all the jobs out to tender to contractors that we've chosen, we're not going to be in that situation.
True. Okay. Right.
So if we're forced to be in that situation because a client or an owner decided that he wanted to go with X roofing,
Sure. Sure.
and these guys are been around forever, but they have never learned anything, it's a challenge because now we're basically babysitting the roof. And we're having to train the workers on how to install the roof system. And if it's a spec that we wrote, but the owners decided to use the roofer, we then have to basically read through the spec with them and educate them on how things are done. We may even have to call a manufacturer's rep out to explain to them the way things are done. So it becomes very challenging and very time-consuming to have to deal with that. So
I'm sure it does.
We're trying to find ways to bring the level of education for all the roofers out there up a little bit.
Okay.
And it goes the same with anybody in our industry that's not continually educating themselves with hands-on experience. It's good to learn a little bit from the book, but really to get out there and actually try things on your own with your own hands really goes a long way to showing you how things work. So, well, and what I mean is, like, you have the roofers who actually do things every day with their hands. And
Sure.
they're working with the materials, but they're not doing the book learning.
Right. Right.
And then you've got the guys that are doing the book learning that are never actually applying.
Yeah, right.
So there's both sides to this situation,
Of
right?
course. Of course.
So we're trying to come up with ways to get both levels up to the same standard.
Okay, now you keep using the royal we, so I'm talking now about your team at Inter-Provincial Roof Consultants. Tell us about your people and the kind of background they bring to the table. We've heard a bit about yours.
Yeah.
How about your teammates?
Every one of us is a journeyman roofer. So we've all been on the tools. We've all worked on a roof and experienced all the challenges that a roofer goes through. And there's a lot of challenges.
I'll
I mean,
bet.
it's not as simple as just going up and installing material because we really fight the weather.
Mm-hmm.
A drywaller will go into a building and he's fighting, humidity levels within the building. And if it's cold outside, he's got to deal with, drying times and everything like that. But a roofer has to deal with the environment in a very extreme way. So you've got in the winter, you've got a lot of moisture, you've got a lot of cold you have to deal with, you've got primers that take longer to flash off in the cold, and your material, depending on how it's being put down, has to be heated more to be put down properly if it's being welded together or mopped down or whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of different environmental challenges, and in the summer there's challenges as well. I mean, you think we've got a great summer's day, there should be no problem installing the roofing.
Yeah.
But if you've got a 30-degree day and you're torch welding 2 plies of SBS together, which is a torch-on roof system,
Okay.
and your roofer happens to be sweating profusely, he's now dripping sweat all over the place, and that sweat's getting within the plies of the membrane. And if he's under-torching the membrane, meaning that he's not applying enough heat to bond the two together and burn off that moisture, he's now trapping that moisture within the plies of the system, which
boy.
can lead to buckling.
Oh, wow.
Or if you have condensation overnight, let's say you put the base ply down one day, and then the next day you go back to put the cap sheet on, but you've had condensation
Yeah,
overnight.
you got a night full of dew. Exactly, sure.
So now your base ply is soaking wet. So they go and they mop a little bit of it off, or most of it off, but they don't do every single bit of it.
Right.
So along the seams there might be a little tiny trail of moisture. And they go and they torch the next layer over top of that. And I've seen roof systems where you can actually tell where all the base plies are because there's a blister that runs along the base ply
Of moisture.
where the moisture has expanded.
Right, right.
Because the water within that air will actually expand 1,000% as it's heated. And what happens is that trapped moisture starts off to expand a little bit, and it loosens the membrane a little bit. And every year it has more room to expand. And there's less tension from the roof system being bonded together, and particularly if it's not a well-bonded system, that blister grows and grows and grows. And I've been on roofs where there's blisters there that I can walk on and stand on. It's crazy how much they'll expand.
Right.
So there's challenges that a roofer faces to install the roof system properly any time of the year.
Right, and all of your guys have been there and done that and faced those challenges. So when they see something like that, the reaction is uniform across the board.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, we know what to watch for.
Right.
Like going back to that 30-degree day, if we know that there's condensation that's going to be on the roof, we know to go there early and check to make sure that they're making sure everything is dry before they torch the cap sheet down.
Right, right. And you the company works out of an office in Cloverdale on the main drag in Old Cloverdale.
That's right.
So this it's a bricks and mortar operation. It's not one of these virtual outfits at all either. And there's something to be said for that as well.
Yeah, it's very comforting for us anyways to know that we have a dedicated office in a building that we own. And the guys are set up in their own offices. They've got proper desks, and we've got a full infrastructure, printers and everything, and admin staff that can handle any administrative detail that comes along. So we're set up, we're ready to go, and it really speaks to the professionalism of our company. We've got a boardroom if we need to host meetings.
Sure.
So it's nice for clients to come in and actually see our office and deal with us one-on-one.
When you said you get a call probably at least one a day every day from some property manager or strata council. Somebody wants you to come out and take a look at a roof on a building. So that, how long what's the kind of turnaround? When somebody calls Inter-Provincial Roof Consultants, Sean, and says, got a building I'd like you to take a look at, what sort of turnaround time? Will that person's roof be seen within a week, a month, a day? What's the usual turnaround?
That depends on the time of year.
Okay.
It depends on our workload. If it's the summertime, our guys are very busy dealing with active jobs, and active jobs always take priority. If there's a roof going on, we need to be there to see it. When we need to be there to see it. So we can't forego that in order to take on somebody else's project on a roof that's not going anywhere.
Right.
So if you call up and you say, I need you to have a look at my roof, you go into a queue of those kinds of jobs.
Sure.
But obviously the first ones to get done are the active ones. In the winter months, when there's less active work going on because of the weather, more time to do that. So the best time if you want to have your roof looked at is over the winter, spring, fall kind of thing.
Well, here we are in the last week of March, for example. Is this a good time?
Excellent time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
excellent
right.
time. Because the other thing is that we're going to be able to see, if we're talking about a flat roof system, we're going to be able to see the water level on that roof system. So if we go out and we do a survey on a roof system at this time of year, we can see where the pooling water is. So if the roof does need to be replaced, we can address those issues, right? And design a sloped roof system that's actually going to take the water to the drains a lot more efficiently.
What is a condition report?
Condition report is basically involves us going onto the building, looking over the entire roof system, looking at any wall issues, chimney issues, anything that can affect the roof system, and then writing up a report that has photos and comments telling you in layman's terms about what's going on with your building.
Would this be the result then of one of those calls saying, hey, I'd like you to come over and take a look at my roof? Would that be the type of report that person would receive?
Well, we have varying levels of reporting.
Okay.
Okay, so if they want a full condition report, that's certainly what we'll do.
Okay.
If they want a very light due diligence report like we were talking about earlier, that's what we'll do. If they really want a thumbs up, thumbs down report, basically we meet them on site and look over the roof and say, yeah, it's okay. We can do that as well.
Okay.
So we can take it from any level. We can go very, very simple and light, or we can go very complex and in depth.
Okay.
It really depends on how much they want to pay and how much information they need.
Okay. A couple of things that I still would like to find out about, one of which is roofing ventilation.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's most important, I think, is how Inter-Provincial Roof Consultants runs a project from beginning to end, because we've had you now helping single-family homeowners, individual strata councils or property management companies, but basically in an advisory capacity. But what you do best is that kind of project direction work. Well, you take something from start completely right through to finish, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll talk about roofing ventilation and then the package as offered by Inter-Provincial Roof Consultants. And by the way, they're online at iprc.ca. The boss is Sean Lang. This is Experts on Call on AM 650, and we'll be right back.
There's still more ahead with Experts on Call, the show focused on delivering relevant and beneficial consumer information. This is Experts on Call on AM 650.